What is good, YouTube? This your boy Aaron.
It's Brian.
It's Courtside View Podcast, and we are back today, and we are talking about the NFL. Now, a lot has transpired in the NFL this past week. Trades, releases, trade requests. Let's get down to business. So, Myles Garrett, weeks ago, I would say around Super Bowl time, we've been hearing rumblings
Radio
of
Row.
Myles Garrett wanting to be traded. So now, Myles Garrett, he wanted to have a meeting with the owner of the Browns, and the owner refused. When have you ever heard that? Just your thoughts. Thoughts on the situation.
So, this doesn't make sense to me from the owner's perspective. A guy that says he wants to be traded is trying to be like, you know what? Let me try to at least meet so we could maybe work something out. Maybe we could discuss what we can do to get as better as a team, blah, 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 so that you can keep a generational talent on your team. Right. And you deny that, you just flat out say no? Like, now he's going to possibly sit out games. That's a bonehead mistake in my opinion. I don't know why. This is why people pride and ego of these owners, man. It's just ridiculous. You going to sit up here and deny a meeting with a dude that's been disgruntled? You're not even going to try to fix the situation? It's just baffling to me. That's why the Browns are such a poorly ran franchise.
You know what? He's your best player.
Easily.
And you deny a meeting with him.
That's
disrespectful.
That's a bad look. Like, players around the league notice stuff like that. And if you would treat Myles Garrett like that, who knows what you treat my regular only making $5 million a year playing.
And I want to say Myles Garrett is like 30.
Yeah.
So
29, 30, something like that.
Yeah. He is 29. Yeah. So he'll be 30 in December. I know he's an amazing player. He's arguably top 2 pass rusher.
No, he is top 2. He's actually number 1 in my opinion.
Might be the best defensive player in the NFL, arguably. So I understand the hesitancy of not wanting to trade him. But your team is not going anywhere. Like, Deshaun Watson screwed up everything. You're not going to win. Trade him. Just trade him. He's going to demand a lot of money. He's getting close to 30. Trade him. I don't understand what's so difficult about this. He's asking for a trade. He's been loyal for your franchise for many years. When you guys weren't winning at all, he was still there. When you made the QB decision, the QB change, get rid of Baker, you bring in Deshaun. I don't know how he felt about Deshaun at the time, but he still was there. He still bought in. And for you to not take a meeting, at least take a meeting, and listen to his demands is absurd. And it just speaks to the arrogance of these owners, of that owner specifically, Jimmy Haslam. And that's why they can never win. That's why they're always going to be bottom feeders in the NFL, because the ownership. That's why I left the Commanders when they had Dan Snyder, because until he's gone, they're not going to prosper at all. And this is the same way with the Browns. Until Jimmy Haslam is gone, I don't think the Browns will ever be contenders. I don't think the Browns will ever win a Super Bowl, because he is that toxic. The fact that you would do that to your best player is egregious. And that is probably going to hurt them free agency-wise.
Yeah.
Because if I'm a player and I see something like that, I don't trust the Browns. I don't trust the organization. I don't trust the ownership. If you're going to do that to your best player that's been loyal for you from the time they were drafted to before now, it's just a slap in the face. They paid Deshaun Watson all that money when he's been in the news for the wrong reasons. They don't have no morals. They do their players wrong. They do their best players dirty. Ain't nothing good about that organization, man. Nothing good. That's all I got to say on that matter.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Other news that happened, there was some trades. Geno Smith got traded to the Raiders. I didn't think that was going to happen.
Me either.
I don't understand how that makes sense for the Raiders' point of view.
Maybe they think, hey, the possibility of us getting a QB this draft that can actually come in day one and make something shake is pretty slim. I think the Raiders got, the 6th pick? Or is
Let
it?
me check that out.
It's either
They have a top 10 pick for sure.
Yeah, I know. It's either 4 or 6. I can't remember. But so I guess they assume, hey, might as well get this dude Geno. He's not making a whole bunch of money. And hope and maybe we still draft a QB. Maybe he could develop behind him. I'm not sure. I guess they look at their rod. They think we signed Max Crosby, $100 million. We trying to win.
Mm-hmm. They have the 6th pick, by the way.
The 6th pick. Okay, yeah, so they have. I don't know. I don't know what that ownership is thinking. You know, Pete Carroll, he isn't really like a long-term coach option in my. He's like a bridge coach.
Yeah.
But I don't know what are they cooking, because they don't have a competing roster.
They're not cooking anything. That's what's going on.
Like that offense is literally Brock Bowers, and that's it.
Yeah, and
well, now Geno now, but
and then remember they signed that dude from the Dolphins, free agency last year.
Christian Wilkins.
Yeah, him too. He's coming off of injury, so you have that.
Yeah,
that you have to worry about as well. We'll see if he'll be back to his former production. But overall, it's just a bad situation. You traded Davante Adams. You traded for Geno Smith without much of a receiving core outside of Brock Bowers. So if I'm a Raiders fan, I think it's a lost cause. It just makes no sense to me to trade for Geno Smith. Geno Smith is a mid-tier quarterback, in my opinion. If y'all seen the videos with the QB tier list, Geno Smith, he's mid, in my opinion. He's not terrible, but he's not good. So I just think it just makes no sense. If they're going to pay him a new contract, why? He's a mid-tier quarterback. You're not going to compete. You have the 6th pick. Maybe they feel like Cam and Shador is going to be gone before they make the pick, so they're like looking at it like, okay, let's get a decent enough quarterback where we compete. But you don't have the roster to compete.
Nope.
So why not just tank?
Especially in a division with 3 playoff teams.
Maybe Pete Carroll's looking at it because Pete Carroll was the coach when they had Geno.
Yes.
So he's looking at it. He's a familiar quarterback. I had it before. I coached him before. It's not going to be a hard transition. I know what he likes. I know what he doesn't like. So it won't be too difficult. We're not going to have to pay him $50 million, but you're still going to have to pay him a decent amount of money. He's a starting quarterback. So I just think it's a lose-lose situation. It's a lost cause. I feel like they're just one of those teams where they're just trying to stay relevant enough to compete.
I guess.
But you're not going to make the playoffs with this team. I don't understand the upside of it.
It's like I don't know. It's like they're trying to keep themselves afloat when they should just be like, just get out the water, please. You're not ready to swim in the deep end yet. Just go to the 3 feet section. You're not there. You're not just there yet. I'm more concerned about the Seahawks. Okay, you had a team. Mm-hmm. Y'all weren't the greatest. Y'all won 10 games though. Y'all could have made the playoffs if, injury luck went y'all way. Now it seems like you're about to blow it up. Mm-hmm. You let go of Tyler Lockett. DK wants to get traded. Then you trade away your QB. People say they try to go after Sam Darnold, but that seems like lateral movement to me. Mm-hmm. You're not really getting better, in my opinion. You fire Peaches on your coaching staff, so now it's a whole new offense you got to relearn. I don't know what the Seahawks are cooking up.
Offensive line is still a major concern. It's not like that has improved much.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what the Seahawks are cooking up. I thought they was going to run it back, maybe get some additions in free agency all season, but now it's just like we just have to wait and see.
I do remember. I remember last year there was rumblings about, are they going to replace Geno Smith? Are they going to draft a quarterback? It felt like the Seahawks weren't all the way in on Geno Smith as their future starting quarterback.
Understandably.
So there was mock drafts where the Seahawks drafted a quarterback. They just didn't draft one, which was kind of questionable a little bit. I was like, Geno Smith, I understand they're paying him that money. They still have him under contract. He's getting paid all that money, but if you're not sold on him, why not just draft a quarterback? That was the draft to go get a quarterback. There was a bunch of quarterbacks, a bunch of really, really good quarterbacks in the 2024 draft. That was the draft to get one, but they decided not to, which is weird. Because that was the perfect draft to do it. And now, this draft, there's only about 2 dudes that you can really trust to be decent in the league. And now, with the draft, with the pick that you have, you're not going to be able to get one of those dudes. So, it's just bad planning.
Yes, I agree.
Bad planning.
I don't know what they trying to sell their fans on, what we trying to do. They need to come out and make a statement. Because if I'm a Seahawks fan, I'm like, what are we doing?
What's the plan?
Yeah.
How are we going to do this?
Are we retooling or rebuilding? What are we doing?
Are we going to have Sam Howell start? Is that really the answer? We saw what he did with Washington. It was not
I don't know what QB they think they're going to try to get in with their pick position in the draft. Hopefully you may luck up and maybe get a Jackson Dart. Which I heard people say the league is high on Jackson Dart. And I'm like, what were they watching?
I heard that too. But is Sam Darnold really the answer?
I don't think so.
He might be a product of...
If he wasn't the answer with freaking Kevin O'Connell and that stacked offense, how he going to be the answer with just JSN?
I think with Sam Darnold, he did have a fantastic regular season, but in the playoffs, we saw what transpired against the Rams.
Even before week 18, we saw what he was made of.
Against the Lions, yeah. But he might just be a product of Kevin O'Connell's system and those players around him, which is possible. I mean, we've seen cases of that before where a quarterback didn't really have a good couple of years, and then he goes to a team with a stacked roster and he just looks good. It just seems like they're in purgatory. It just seems like a bad place. If you're a fan, like, this just seems like a bad place because there's no direction. There's no plan in place that you know of. Okay, they're going to rebuild. They're going to retool. We just don't know, man. At this point, they're just a lost cause, just like with the Raiders. There's no plan. We really don't know what's going to happen with them. So, moving on, speaking of the Seahawks, DK Metcalf requested a trade as well. We was going back and forth in the group chat about DK. My thing with DK, I understand people's argument. They're looking at it where it's an A.J. Brown situation. DK, if he goes to a team that has a good quarterback.
I'm not buying that, though. Because JSN was outproducing him.
He was. And they're looking at it, and they're saying Geno Smith wasn't all that good. But then I also hear Mina Khan say that Geno Smith was he was masking some of the deficiencies of that offense. The offensive line, some of the play calls, reason why they fired the OC.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that DK Metcalf can be the caliber of an A.J. Brown because if you recall, I don't recall anybody questioning A.J. Brown's worth ethic, his talent at all. I don't recall that being the case. It was always he was being in a system. He's under a system where it's a run-heavy offense.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they literally had Derrick Henry. The league, like, this is not Apple. This is not the same. This is apples and oranges. It's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
There was no Derrick Henry on the freaking Seahawks.
And he didn't have a JSN on the other side and a Tyler Lockett. Because when you're in a receiving core and you're in an offense that's pass happy, it's going to be a lot easier for you to get open compared to a Titans offense where you're the only good receiver on the squad. Everybody else is pretty average or trash.
Yeah.
And Ryan Tannehill is not the best thrower of the football. This is a run-first offense. And I put the stats in the group chat. I was like, if you compare the Seahawks offense and the Titans offense in 2021 compared to 2024 with the Seahawks, it's night and day. The Seahawks offense, I think they were one of the better offenses in the NFL from a passing perspective. While with the Titans, they were one of the worst. So it is apples and oranges. This is just not a comparison at all. I believe if DK was really that guy, he would get his game off regardless. He is immensely talented.
I got a stat for you.
Go right ahead.
How tall DK Metcalf is?
He's 6'3".
Guess what his contested catch percentage is?
It's pretty low.
It's in the 30s.
Okay.
30 percentile.
Okay.
30. That is bad.
That's bad.
That is bad. For as big as he is, and corners aren't that big, that is bad. He doesn't play as big as he is. His hands are questionable at times, and his routes aren't the greatest.
They're not as crisp. He doesn't get as open as much.
Nope.
I understand Geno has the limitations, but I feel like if DK was really that guy, they would have featured him more. But then they featured JSN more, because I think JSN is better than him.
He is. More versatile. He can actually run routes and catch the ball.
Better catcher. Yeah, better hands. You're right. The only time I seen DK put up like a really like a great game this past year was against your boys, against the Cowboys. I was like, where was this?
I think he had another game. I want to say, was it the Lions? I don't even remember.
It may have been the Lions, but
regardless,
matter of fact, I don't think it was the Lions. But regardless, against your Cowboys, he looked like a bona fide number 1 receiver, top 5 receiver in the NFL. But we don't see that often. Rarely do we see DK take over a game like that. And that is my problem with DK. I just don't see him as a number 1 receiver. I think he's a great number 2. But as a number 1 receiver, is he reliable? I don't see it. I don't think he's fundamentally sound. I don't think his hands are all that great. You mentioned the contested catch percentage.
His last 100-yard game was week 4 against Detroit. He had 104 yards on 12 catches.
Besides the Cowboys game.
Cowboys game, he had. Oh, you talk about the year before. We ain't played him this year.
Oh, wait, you didn't?
No.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about the year before then.
His best game this year was against week 2 against New England. He had 129 yards.
Oh, so that's even worse.
And then ever since week 4, he had 55, 48. Oh, and 99 against the Falcons. Then 70, 59, 66. He just started down. He just traded off towards the end of the season.
I don't see it, man. And remember, they had, what's his name that got fired from Chicago? I think, what's his name? Remember when JSN was, like, criticizing him a little bit when went to the Bears? Yeah,
I know you talk. I can't remember.
Regardless, that OC, they had him, and DK, he got his game off against the Cowboys, but again, like, he wasn't all that good, and they replaced the OC with a different OC.
Ryan Grubb,
Yeah, Ryan Grubb, and he still wasn't able to get his game off. I just don't think he's a number 1 receiver, in my opinion. I understand, like, the Packers, they need a receiver. They need a number 1. I don't think he's the answer. I think Davante Adams is the answer, and I would pay money for Davante Adams, especially since he got released, so you wouldn't have to
take on any money and all that. Put
picks or players on the table to trade for him. I'd rather go after Davante Adams. He's 30-something years old, but he's still good, in my opinion. I think he's still a number 1 receiver, and he would just make the team so much better than what DK would, in my opinion. Because DK, he's just not reliable. He's not consistent. He'll have a great game, and then he'll go ghost for the next 6 or 7.
And he'll go stretches. Trust me, as a fantasy owner, I was watching them Seahawks games. I'm looking like, where the heck is DK at? Right. He's on the field, but he's not doing anything.
And then he also has outbursts on the field.
If he's not getting the ball fit, he will legit start rounding routes. Like, it's just like, it's bad.
If he was the caliber of A.J. Brown, I would be cool. I'd be like, all right, he's producing. Even though I don't want to see that, he's still producing for the team. He is helping us win the games. But he's not doing it. It seems like he thinks he's better than what he is. And that's a problem. When you have a receiver that thinks he's better than what his production suggested is. Mm-hmm. So I'm not ready to put that risk in. I think he is too much of a risk.
Did the Seahawks say what compensation they were looking for? I think the report
somebody said a first and a third.
They're crazy.
That is crazy.
They're crazy.
I would not give the Seahawks a first and a third.
Absolutely not.
I think he is worth a second-round pick and some change.
I wouldn't even give up a high second.
Really? I think he's worth a second round. If Chase Claypool gets a second-round pick, if some of these receivers get second-round picks, I think he's worth a second-round pick.
Well, that stupidity ain't got nothing to do with me.
I think he's worth a second and some change, maybe a second and a fifth. Really? You really think he's not worth that?
No, I think a fifth is a low ball. You're gonna have to pay him too. So I wouldn't even want to give up. If I have a high second round pick, if I'm picking from between 32 or 33 and like 45, I'm not doing it. I'm keeping my pick.
Really?
I'd have to really need a receiver.
Yeah, if you really need a receiver. You don't have a number one receiver.
Like the Patriots, I heard the Patriots are interested. I'm just like, okay.
But in conclusion, I don't think DK is number one receiver. I don't think he's worth the risk. But, other people think otherwise. But
they think they
I've seen the numbers. I've seen the difference between the Titans offense in 2021 and the Seahawks offense in 2024. It's not even close to a comparison. You can't compare the two. And A.J. Brown, I never heard any questions about his work ethic, his ability to catch contested footballs. I never heard any questions about that. It was just the fact that he was in an offense that wasn't beneficial to his talent. That's not the case with DK. So, anywho, other news, other releases, real quick. We have Joey Bosa released.
Not surprising.
Jonathan Allen released. Evan Ingram released. Davante Adams released. These are big names.
Yes.
Any surprises for you?
Evan Ingram was a surprise. I didn't know he was even on the table to get released. I guess they believe in Brenton Strange, or maybe they'll try to get one of these tight ends that's in the draft because it's quite a few of them that can come in day one and just start for you. So, I mean, Evan Ingram, he is getting up there in age, but he still had a really good season, really good productive season. Granted, it wasn't a losing effort most of the time. I'm trying to figure out what the Jags are cooking because pretty much right now, the only thing on that offense is Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, they traded Christian Kirk.
Yeah. So, I don't know what they cook, but, yeah, John Allen, I figured he was going to get released. I wasn't too surprised because who's going to trade and they have to deal with the contract and all that stuff. Just wait till he hits the market. Who else? Joey Bosa.
That was surprising to me, too.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to get released. I thought they would trade him, but he got released.
Joey Bosa always hurt, and he just disappears at times. It's just like he's not all it's cracked up to be. He had a few good years, and he's just been mid ever since in my eyes. So it'll probably be a good pickup for somebody out there for a decent deal. He ain't no top edge rusher.
No,
that's for sure.
Not anymore.
But
he's not like his brother.
No, even he's starting to fall off too. But yeah, these releases make sense. Teams trying to save money. Mm-hmm. With the salary cap increasing every year after year, teams are like, listen, we about to just give all our money just because the salary cap is up.
So who, out of all the names I just listed, who is the number one player out of all the players that got released that you would go after?
Probably Davante.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Davante Adams, because he's still the one that's shown the highest level of play out of all of those dudes. Like he still got it. Unc still got it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll probably go Davante Adams. Secondly, just for availability purpose, just like I'll probably do John Allen.
Jonathan Allen.
Yeah, his play can be inconsistent at times, but he's always available. I can't say the same about Joey Bosa. And Evan Ingram, he's getting up there in age, and this really was his first year like being like a top-ish tight end. Mm-hmm. So I can't really bank on him getting that same level of production. So I'll probably go
Davante Adams, Jonathan Allen
John
second,
Allen,
Evan Ingram third, and then Joey Bosa fourth.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's fair. Other news, trades.
Yes, there's some trades that happened.
Well, we already talked about Geno and potentially DK. He requested a trade. But Deebo Samuel, he's going to the Commanders. How do you feel about that trade as a Cowboys fan?
I'm not scared of Deebo Samuel. I do think it'll be a good trade for the offense though, because yes, Deebo isn't route guy. He's not really a wide receiver for real. But I think the way the Cliff runs calls the offense, I think it'll be a much needed addition because their screen game wasn't the best. But when you add a guy who has good with the ball in their hands like Deebo, it really makes it more dynamic. You start opening up more options. And hopefully this addition Deebo, you got another ball carrier. Maybe Jaden Daniels doesn't have to use his legs as much as in his second season. So I think this would be a good deal. Now, if they extend him, then it depends how much money. But I wouldn't extend him. I say, we will see what we can get out of you. Can you be healthy? Will you be in shape? And all that stuff.
That's a question.
Because he was looking a little chunky in that Eagles jersey he had on. But if he can show up camp, he's healthy, he's ready to go, I think it'll be a good addition for him.
Yeah. Runs after the catch.
Yep.
Definitely something that they could utilize a lot because they didn't have a whole lot of receivers besides Terry McLaurin that could do something like that. So
and they like to do a lot of short passes and stuff.
Right, and he's good at that as well. The production hasn't been great ever since 2021, but he's still a quality player that if you can design certain things for him, he'll be a good addition for them. He can be a running back for you. He can be a receiver for you. Not the best route runner in the world, but he can get open at times depending on how you scheme him. So, yeah. I want to say, is that it?
It's a few trades. Like when Christian Kirk to Texans.
Oh, Christian Kirk from.
I like it because Tank Dell is going to be out for the whole year.
It makes sense.
Stephon Diggs is probably not bringing him back because he tore his ACL too. So, good replacement. Got a slot guy to pair up with Nico Collins. I don't see a problem with it. Still trying to put a competitive roster on the field. The Texans probably still think they're close. They got rid of They fired him, right? The offensive coordinator. Yeah, they fired him. So
Bobby Slowick.
Yeah, Bobby Slowick. They got him up out of there.
Yeah,
so they ready to run a bike. They still got the defense playing well. They got Stingley made a leap his second year, made All Pro. So you got Kamari Lassiter, who had a really good rookie year.
I think the defense is fine.
Yeah, defense is fine. That's why I'm saying they're trying to load up. They need to get some offensive line. That's what they need to do.
They do, yeah. They also need a number 2 receiver. Christian Kirk is cool, but I want him as my number 3.
Yeah, well, he's slot guy. So I kind of think of slot guys primarily kind of like 2, 3s, except Amon-Ra St. Brown. But yeah, another trade. Chicago Bears. They traded for 2 linemen.
Joe Thuney.
They traded for Jonah Williams? Is it Jonah Williams? Jonah Jackson? It's something Jonah. They trade. He's a tackle or interior line. I can't remember. There's so many football stuff going on. But they traded for 2 linemen, which is good. So it shows that the Bears front office, Ron Posen company, is like, listen, we gotta beef up this offensive line. And I know I said it's gonna be a little difficult to build the line through draft a trade or free agency, but they found a way. They made the calls. They said, hey, Chiefs, listen, y'all know Joe Thuney up for some money, and I know Trey Smith up for some money. We gonna take whichever one y'all don't pay.
Yeah.
And Joe Thuney getting up in there in age, but he was just a Pro Bowl, All Pro caliber player. So I really like that addition. They're really trying to invest in Caleb Williams. They believe in him. They say, listen, you're going to be the engine. It all starts with the trenches.
It was Jonah Jackson.
Jonah Jackson.
Yeah.
So yeah,
from the Rams.
Is he a guard or a tackle?
That I don't know. I'm still checking. But regardless, they got 2 offensive linemen. He's a guard.
Okay, so good interior help. So this is good. Now your options open up with that pick that I think they have the 9th pick. The Bears, I believe they have the 9th pick.
Yeah, they have a top 10 pick.
Exactly. So now your options open up a little bit. Maybe you can take a fly on a Ashton Genty instead of going strictly O-line. You could probably get a lineman in the 2nd round if you want a tackle. There's going to be a tackle in the 2nd round. So you could probably go, hey, maybe get that running back, really take the load off of Caleb Williams' shoulders because we still got DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. I don't know if they're going to bring Keenan Allen back or not. They might not. They may try to get a receiver in the draft. But now your options open up a little bit at 9. So I think that's at least some really good additions.
Yeah, it's going to help a lot, especially with
Ben Johnson,
that new system. He was with the Lions. They had a great offensive line, and he had
That philosophy's trying to carry
he had
over.
two great running backs
Mm-hmm.
as well. So he's, like you said, exigency. He might.
It's
might
in
go
play.
exigency,
It's in play.
But then he might go offensive line as well.
Yeah.
The solidified offensive line. So Caleb Williams will have protection for once, because last year he didn't have no protection.
Mm.
At times, yes, it was his fault, but just like with Justin Fields, he didn't have a whole lot of time in the pocket, and it really hurt his growth overall.
Yep.
And with what you're trying to scheme, you're going to be limited on what you can scheme offensively. You need to have time in the pocket for him to do what he wants to do. And so I like the move. Well, I don't like the move as a Packers fan, but just overall, objectively, it was a great move for them to solidify the offensive line, because they desperately needed. They had one of the worst offensive lines. They need to solidify the center position as well, because that center they had was horrible. He's not going to come back, but that center they had was just outright just terrible, bro. He was getting cooked every single time. Like you mentioned, the interior of that offensive line, dude, it was just bad. It was
bad.
Really bad. And so finally they got two guards that can help them out. They just need to solidify that center.
Yeah. I'm like how they moving quickly in it. They not trying to drag their feet in there, trying to wait till April to see if something falls in their lap. They getting at it.
Yeah,
man, that's what that's
too.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
that's what you got to do. You got to be proactive.
Seems like they have a plan in place.
Exactly.
Got to solidify.
Bears fans got to be optimistic about this.
And I remember last year when they drafted Rome Odunze, I was like, yo, Rome is an amazing talent, but you need an offensive lineman. And we saw what happened.
Didn't they have 2 picks, though, in the top 10?
Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So
okay. Then the year before that, they drafted Darnell Wright.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
I was like, hey, I mean, I like Rome Odunze. He's an amazing talent, but
I thought they were doing it. That line, offensive line class last year was crazy. I swore they was going to draft line.
Yeah.
They had so many dudes.
Like, what?
They had Talisa Fuaga, Olu Fashanu, Troy Fats. Like, it was so many linemen. I'm like, they had they pick of the litter at 9 or whatever, pick Romo 8 or whatever. I thought they was for sure going to draft the lineman. But Rome, he's a good player though. He'll take a year or two leap.
Yeah. I just think you have DJ Moore. He's your number one. You can wait another year to get a wide receiver too. But it is what it is.
Especially when they signed Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
But yeah, they doing the good things. They doing good so far.
Yeah, not too bad. But yeah, I can't think of anything else. That was some of the news that has transpired the past week in the NFL. Do you have any other?
What do you
news?
feel about Trey Hendrickson is now they're trying to trade Trey Hendrickson.
I forgot.
The Bengals.
Sam Hubbard.
He
retired,
yeah.
and Trey Hendrickson requested a trade. Here's my thing with the Bengals. I get what their logic is. The defense wasn't good regardless with Trey Hendrickson, even though he was the leader in sacks. But this is where you look at the Bengals and you're kind of like, all right, bro.
Their team building is very
Your team
weird.
building, the planning behind the contracts.
You do. I'm sorry. You don't pay 2 wide receivers top money. I don't care what people say. That's not a winning recipe.
No, you can't win just off a straight offense. That's how they missed the playoffs last year.
Like 60% of your cap is going to 3 players.
I like T. Higgins.
On one side of the ball.
I like T. Higgins a lot, but I'm not paying him 25 M's to be my wide receiver too. You have to pay Jamar Chase a lot of money. You are already paying Joe Burrow all that money.
Yep.
You have to figure out a way to find a replacement for T. Higgins. He's your wide receiver too. You can find a wide receiver too.
Yep.
You can't find another Jamar Chase. So you have to pay Jamar, pay Joe Burrow, which you already did, and pay your top pass rusher. But they didn't do that.
I know Trey Hendrickson, he's getting up there in the age.
He is.
But your asking price is like you're not even trying to trade him for real. You trying to ask for a second and a third?
Oh, that's crazy.
For like a 30-year-old pass? Come on, let's be for real. No team is giving that up and they're going to have to pay him. No team is doing that.
I was seeing some things where like people was comparing the Bengals and the Eagles and how the Eagles are able to plan and they're drafting as well. You look at the Bengals, they haven't drafted well in the past couple of years.
Nope.
Myles Murphy, all these other dudes on defense, offensive linemen. it just hasn't panned out for them. While with the Eagles, they have been able to draft well, plan ahead, contracts, Jalen Hurts contract, Davante Smith contract, A.J. Brown contract, now with Saquon.
And you know what I like about the Eagles, even though I hate the team and the fans and all that? They not afraid to cut their losses. If a player's not working out, they're going to get you up out of there. They don't care what you got. If you're not playing good, you're not going to play. James Bradbury, yeah, one bad, you're out of here. Mm-hmm. Replaced you. We gonna draft in 2 corners.
Yeah, 2 corners back to back.
Hassan Reddick, okay, see ya.
Yeah, see ya.
You had a good season, but see ya. We gonna draft Nolan Smith. Gonna give him a year or 2 to develop. He gonna come back and fill the same role.
They have a plan in place. They know what they have to do in the event this player wants money.
They're not scared to make the tough decisions.
Exactly. Yeah. Fletcher Cox, he's retiring. Okay, well, we still have young dudes that can replace him. Mm-hmm. Milton Williams, he's leaving. All right. Well,
Javon Hargrave, okay, see ya.
All right, see ya. Exactly.
Go get your money somewhere else.
The Bengals don't have a plan in place. It just seems like they're doing it on the fly.
Yeah. And that owner is so cheap, man.
He is. He really is, yeah.
Like who? Like besides Joe Burrow, who else are they playing? Just give Jamar. Jamar should have got paid last season. All he did was all the owner did was just say, "Oh dang, okay, we gonna not pay you this year, but now we gonna end up giving up more money, especially after he had a triple crown season. You big dummy, you could have had him locked up and saved probably 20% more on the salary on the cap, but no." I don't understand why these owners don't get the earlier you pay your guys, the more money you save in the future.
And Jamar Chase, I don't like if you want to say, oh, he doesn't deserve top wide receiver money. He shouldn't be the number 1 wide receiver.
Drug addict.
That's crazy. Yeah, okay, you can say Jamar Chase, he's not the best receiver in the NFL, but
he's top 2.
Damn near close to.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't he get the number 1 receiver money? Just okay, yeah. Justin Jefferson got this much. And Jamar Chase wants more. Okay, he deserves it.
Yeah.
So why the hesitancy? I don't get it. He is a receiver, but he has been so good for your team in the past. He's been producing for your team. Pay him the money. Why wait? And they just keep making mistake after mistake after mistake ever since that Super Bowl win. They just keep making mistakes. Not paying Jesse Bates. Why did you not pay Jesse Bates? Now he's an all-pro safety for the Falcons. Mm-hmm. Just boneheaded mistakes. They just fired the defensive coordinator acting like it was his fault that the defense of talent was just terrible. That they didn't develop these players appropriately because you didn't scout correctly. You didn't have enough scout. I don't even think they have a whole bunch of scouts compared to the Eagles, compared to all these other great teams. I don't think they have the necessary positions. I don't even think they have a GM. I think Stephen A. on First Take said they don't even have a GM. Mm. That just lets you know. They're cutting corners. They're not paying the right people.
We seen with the NFLPA report cards, with they facilities and all that stuff, that they're not even feeding the players properly. It's just a bad org.
And Joe Burrow and
Jamar, yep, they broke life.
It's unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. It's what a great quarterback can do to a franchise. He can cover up a lot of the stench, but eventually, he's not going to be able to save everything. Eventually, it's going to show itself, and now it's showing itself. It's showing why the Bengals were the worst team at one point before Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase came there.
Yeah.
Because the Bengals were a laughingstock. They were god-awful.
And it wasn't like they was full of school. They had talent on the team. They had A.J. Green. They had Andy Dalton. He wasn't the greatest quarterback, but he was serviceable. They had dudes on defense that could make plays. They just weren't good. And
then Joe Burrow comes in, Jamar Chase comes in and takes them over the top.
Yeah.
Puts them to another level that they've never been to since the 90s. And yet this organization just doesn't. They're taking them for granted.
Yeah.
So, anywho, anything else? Anything else we need to talk about before we get out of here?
I think that might have been it as far as news and stuff.
All right. Well, we'll
free
keep you
agency
guys,
starts this week. Next week. Yeah.
We're gonna react to that. I think it's this Wednesday, so we'll give our thoughts on free agency. It's gonna be an interesting free agency. I think last year it was a lot of moves were made. So, Ever since the Eagles started to be aggressive in free agency, it seems like a lot of teams are starting to.
Yeah, the winning team sets the formula to how to win.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Well, that'll do it on this episode of the Courtside View Podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, follow the socials. Check out our other channel, our NBA channel. We post a lot of content on that. Check out our playlist, our full podcast episodes. Check that out. Links will be in the description of that. And we'll see you guys in the next episode of the Courtside View Podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.
Salute.
Just let me be.